Tonight on CTV News, an innocent woman shot while sleeping.
They said for us to hands up. I said hands up.
New details about the extortion violence that sent a young woman to hospital. What her partner told CTV about the terrifying moments when gunfire erupted.
Really, our concern was at that point was passenger safety, including our crews.
Hackers target 2 BC airports, taking over the PA system with pro-Hamas messages.
It's just going to be tough. It's not fun.
Big changes at the Horseshoe Bay Ferry Terminal. Construction is underway. What travelers to Nanaimo need to know.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the recovery of an innocent woman who was shot while sleeping in her Surrey home. She is the first person to have been hit by bullets in the extortion violence plaguing Metro Vancouver. And with the shooter still out there, the community is worried about who will be their next target. CTV's Sinjin Alexander spoke with the victim's partner, who's describing the terrifying details the night when someone opened fire.
The victim, who was in the upstairs bedroom, hit by a bullet while she slept, is still in hospital but doing much better. Her boyfriend, too shaken to go on camera, described to CTV News how that terrifying evening unfolded. They were both in the bedroom. He couldn't sleep, so got up and chatted with his roommate in another room. Minutes later, early Sunday morning, gunfire hit the house. They thought they were hearing firecrackers and had no idea the girlfriend was hit. But then she came out of the bedroom and said, "I've been shot." She was hit between the shoulder blade and the heart. She wasn't feeling any pain at first until she saw the blood. When police arrived, they searched through all the home's many suites. Omar Yunus lives downstairs, was woken to police in his bedroom, guns drawn, telling him to put his hands in the air.
They said for us to hands up. I said hands up. And after that, they said to us how you didn't hear the bullet.
He admits he's a sound sleeper and didn't hear a thing.
So right there?
Yeah, right there.
On this side?
On this side.
His bedroom, directly under the victim's.
The police told me that you're lucky.
Police believe, like we've seen time and time again in Surrey, this is another attempt at extortion, and yet they don't think anyone inside was the intended target.
And so our investigators are continuing to collect evidence and look into some more of the details around the circumstances of why this house was the victim of a shooting.
The 26-year-old who was shot is on the mend, walking and talking, and as soon as she's well enough, the couple intends to move far away. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Surrey.
Travelers and employees at YVR were told to evacuate parts of the domestic terminal this afternoon after a suspected gas leak. CTV's Craig Krause is following this in the breaking news center. Craig, have flights been impacted by this?
Well, Jung, there were some delays for domestic arrival and departures as the incident unfolded. Posts on social media say travelers were prevented from entering the building, unable to collect luggage, and others were stuck on the tarmac. So YVR says it detected the smell of gas shortly after 1 o'clock throughout parts of the domestic terminal. Richmond fire and rescue crews responded and moved passengers and employees away from the impacted areas. The airport says the source of the odor was identified as a natural gas leak and has since been contained, and the terminal has been deemed safe. Here's what the chief operations officer had to say about the cause.
At the moment, it was part of some routine maintenance work that we were doing on one of the boilers. The actual root cause of why it happened is something we're still investigating. I just want to say thank you, really. The response was super quick, and not just from the teams and Richmond Fire and Rescue, but also from the public. The response was very fast.
And Jung, we're told YVR is working with airlines to expedite passengers through security on a priority basis. The airport says there could be some minor flight delays as the influx of passengers are being processed. Jung?
Thanks for this update, Craig. Now to a different kind of airport disruption, this one caused by hackers who briefly took over information display boards and the PA systems at several North American airports, including 2 in BC. The cyber intruders used the hack to spread pro-Hamas messaging. CTV's Ben Milger has more on the security implications of the breaches.
At about 5:15 Tuesday evening, the information boards at Kelowna International Airport stopped displaying flight information and instead switched to messages in support of Hamas. Israel lost the war. Hamas won, it said on screen. The message also called U.S. President Donald Trump a pig. At the same time, the PA system began to broadcast an unauthorized audio recording. Airport staff immediately contacted RCMP and Transport Canada.
After we completed that threat assessment, we determined that there was no specific threat to either the airport or the traveling public.
A photo from inside the airport shows staff talking to passengers with a megaphone. One outgoing and one inbound flight were delayed. Transport Canada confirms it is investigating the incident, along with similar cyber attacks at Victoria International Airport and Windsor International Airport in Ontario. Similar messages were also played at Harrisburg Airport in Pennsylvania. Kelowna and Victoria airports say the audio message was uploaded through a third-party software company that provides services to a number of airports around the world. In Victoria, staff quickly disconnected the system and there were no operational disruptions, delays, or cancellations. Cybersecurity firm Fortinet tracked more than 12 billion cyber attacks in Canada in the first half of 2025.
Constant threat exposure management is key. Making sure staff are educated. It's no different than workplace safety in any other organization. Cyber has to become a regular conversation around that. Cybersecurity awareness is super critical in every organization.
RCMP and the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity have opened investigations into the hacks. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
A search is underway for a rescue dog who went missing at YVR last week. Tommy, a 6-month-old Jindo Corgi mix, arrived from South Korea on October 9th. But before he could meet his adoptive family, the 20-pound pooch escaped an outdoor pet enclosure and has been on the loose since. Anyone who sees him is urged to call Pet Searchers Canada, as he may run away if chased. Looking at a live shot of Canada Place, another gorgeous, stunning fall day. The colors looking so vibrant today.
And nice and crisp in the morning, sunny in the afternoons. And yes, we're going to continue to see that tonight. It does cloud over heading into tomorrow, so get outside and enjoy that right now. Here's a look at temperatures across the Lower Mainland. 12 degrees at the Harbour, as well as in North Vancouver and in Pitt Meadows. A touch warmer in Surrey at 14 in Chilliwack and 15 degrees in Abbotsford right now. So as we head through the overnight, another clear night, dropping down to 5 degrees. Into tomorrow, early morning sunshine, and then right after the sunshine and for your early morning commute, we will see the clouds roll in. Sunny breaks through the afternoon with a high of 13.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Plan, book, and safeguard your journeys. Explore the possibilities at expediacruises.ca.
So cloudy skies tomorrow, clears up once again before the rain returns just in time for the weekend. Those details coming up.
Okay, well, we will savor the rain-free days for now. Thanks a lot, Anne. It is the first day of the new mandatory reservation system at the Horseshoe Bay Ferry Terminal. A major renovation of the terminal has limited the room for overflow traffic. CTV's Martin McMahon is live at Horseshoe Bay. And Martin, you've been talking to passengers. What are they saying about the big changes?
Well, Mijung, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some people like rolling the dice, even if it means the occasional multi-sailing wait that they have to go through. But also worth noting, the vast majority of people heading to Nanaimo from this terminal were already making those online reservations. This all comes as BC Ferries begins work on significant redevelopment of the terminal, which will take years to complete. That work will lead to the temporary removal of 25% of vehicle space here, which is why this mandatory reservation system is being brought in for those heading to Nanaimo.
It's just going to be tough. It's not fun. Because you're not always going to be able to reserve for yourself. And what if I need to? Because there's only limited reservations that you can have.
I see the traffic here all the time, and it really needs to be cut down, and this new mandatory reservation system with the booking online will help for sure, definitely.
This change is really about keeping people safe and keeping traffic moving while we rebuild one of our oldest and busiest terminals. Horseshoe Bay is more than 65 years old, and a lot of the infrastructure, so the elevated vehicle structure, the control tower, the berths, they all need major upgrades.
BC Ferries has also introduced a booking alert system for Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay, so you can sign up for a full sailing in the event a spot opens up on a first-come, first-serve basis. Also worth noting that this mandatory booking system is just one way from Horseshoe Bay to Nanaimo, so if you're on the island and still wanting to improvise or take a chance, that is technically still an option coming from the island. And BC Ferries is also waiving the fee for changing your sailing if you had made a booking, and that waiving of the fee will continue through the end of November. Mei-Jung?
A little bit of good news there. Thank you, Martin. People living in Yaletown are demanding politicians step up in the wake of a recent series of stabbings.
The community, as should be, is obviously very concerned and afraid and feel that there has to be more to be done.
A group of residents gathered at the Roundhouse Turntable Plaza to discuss what they call growing safety concerns in their neighborhood. They say they're reaching out to politicians and police, demanding more action to keep their communities safe. This comes after multiple people were stabbed and others were attacked early Friday morning near David Lamb Park. 35-year-old Tamara Hamlin has been charged with 1 count of assault in connection to the attacks. Now to a heartbreaking picture of the struggles and despair facing some young people in BC. The number of them dying by suicide has not changed much in the last few years, and the coroner's service is recommending changes to help kids who see no other way out. CTV's Rob Buffum reports.
A new report commissioned by the chief coroner takes aim at a somber statistic. Despite efforts to educate and help, the rate of death by suicide in BC amongst youth and young adults hasn't changed in the past 5 years. 435 people aged 9 to 25 died by suicide between 2019 and 2023.
The number of young lives lost to suicide in BC has remained relatively unchanged over the last several years. Little progress has been made in terms of understanding, recognizing, and reducing risk.
The coroner's death review panel sets out 5 recommendations for addressing the tragic trend that actually saw deaths by suicide increase compared to the preceding 5 years. The top recommendation, creating a province-wide suicide risk reduction framework focused on youth and young adults.
Province-wide approach will help ensure positive outcomes that meet the unique needs of youth and young adults across the mental health spectrum.
Other recommendations include creating an educational model for healthcare professionals to identify warning signs and improving data collection, information sharing, and reporting processes to better understand and support diverse communities. The report's authors found Indigenous communities were disproportionately impacted, a tragic reality for the family of 16-year-old Felicity, who died by suicide in 2023. Her family seeking answers from a system it says let her down.
Every child is supposed to matter, and I just feel like that she didn't. To them.
The health minister says the province is reviewing all the recommendations. With suicide the second most prevalent cause of death among children and youth in BC and third most common among young adults, the death panel hopes that review turns quickly to action.
Rob joins us live from Victoria. Rob, what other recommendations were made today to try to reverse this gut-wrenching situation?
Well, Mei-Jung, I actually spoke today to Carol Todd, Amanda Todd's mother. Of course, that situation that was so tragic and generated international attention when the 15-year-old 13 years ago this past Friday died by suicide after being bullied online. She talked about some practical ideas she had, including the fact that there is still, in her view, a big stigma associated with mental health that children need, to help getting beyond. She also talked about the fact that during the wee hours of the night, there is a significant amount of suicidal ideation radiation during those bleak hours, and it would be important and valuable to have in-person counseling available at that hour rather than simply crisis lines. So while it's been 13 years that she's been touched and there has been improvement, there is still a lot of work, and the review panel today hoping that their recommendations don't just stay such as that, but turn to action. Mijang.
Hopefully we will see some improvement. Thank you, Rob. The federal government has announced new funding for affordable homes in Vancouver.
More British Columbians will have access to the safety and stability of their own home. It's a chance for a fresh start for many, including some of the most vulnerable in our community.
Along with the province and city of Vancouver, Ottawa announced a $69 million investment to help build 112 new affordable rental homes in the city. The homes will be located in a sustainable 9-story building at 1220 Seymour, all above ground level retail businesses. This comes after last month's announcement of a $1.5 billion top-up in loans to support the creation of more than 5,000 new homes. A first-of-its-kind study is investigating whether psychedelic mushrooms and therapy can improve wellness. Also coming up.
What happens in Asia affects animals here.
While we seem to be capturing on camera more whale encounters in BC waters, one species is struggling to survive. When CTV News at 6 continues. Stay with us. A trio of humpback whales that delayed ferry traffic this week was caught on camera, wowing passengers. Are they a sign of a healthy marine ecosystem, or do they just seem plentiful because of social media posts? CTV's Penny Daflos explains why our waters are thriving except for our most iconic sea creature.
BC Ferries passengers witnessed not one, but 3 frolicking humpback whales this week. And other lucky wildlife watchers post their shots to social media regularly.
Look at that!
So are there more smartphones to record them or more actual whales?
The perception is true that overall our marine mammals have rebounded. They're doing extremely well, with one exception.
Newly released numbers from American researchers confirm the southern resident killer whale population remains stagnant. The majestic creatures are very picky eaters.
And so when you see declines in the abundance and size and quality of Chinook salmon prey, that's when you see these declines in southern resident killer whales.
Chinook salmon swim through northern resident killer whale territories first, leaving fewer for our local pods.
What happens in Asia affects animals here because the ocean is all one, and all we need to do is look at ocean currents.
As well as water contamination and ship traffic that impacts mammals' ability to navigate and find food.
We see California sea lions, harbor seals, stellar sea lions, humpback whales, transient killer whales. In many ways, it's all good news. There's so much effort and attention being paid to ensuring that we protect them and they're allowed to thrive here in our waters.
To the layperson, there's no visible difference between transient and resident killer whales, but transients are bigger and eat seals and other mammals. So the slow extinction of salmon-eating resident killer whales isn't about losing the sight of them in our waters.
I really think fundamentally the world is made emptier and uglier and worse every time we lose a species or a culture or a society. And southern residents are really, really unique, even among killer whales.
As we do a better job of reducing our impacts on their habitat, every glimpse seems to encourage us to do even more.
I often see the marine mammals that are here as the ambassadors of the Salish Sea. They're speaking up for others that don't have a voice.
Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
A first-of-its-kind clinical study is happening in Victoria, exploring the effects of psychedelics on overall wellness. The Health Canada-approved study is looking specifically at the effects of psilocybin. Participants are doing 3 weeks of group therapy before one supervised psychedelic session, and then 3 more weeks of follow-up group therapy. The trial comes from TheraSil, a nonprofit advocating for legal access to this type of therapy. It's partnering with Sabi Mind Victoria, which is a clinic focused on psychedelic-assisted therapies.
The majority of clinical studies in the psychedelic space are investigating depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, end-of-life distress. This is for folks who don't necessarily have that that designated illness. It's everyday wellness. How can psychedelics impact your everyday, ordinary person who is going about the world just seeking to improve in wellness just a little bit more?
The research is not funded by pharmaceutical companies, but by community donors and participants. People aged 18 to 65 can apply and will need to pay a $4,500 fee. Devastating news for auto workers. Thousands of jobs will move from Canada to the U.S. Reaction from Ottawa also ahead.
And that's where he grabbed like what he had thought. It was just like, it looked like a little cookie dough.
A Vancouver Island boy dies after an allergic reaction. His mother's campaign to keep other children safe ahead. Stellantis has delivered a major blow to auto workers in Canada. After pausing operations amid tariff tensions, the company confirms its Jeep Compass will be built south of the border. CTV Sean Leathong has a reaction from union leaders and industry experts.
The Stellantis Brampton assembly plant, sitting idle since February, has been dealt a severe blow. Production of the Jeep Compass will be moved to the United States.
Disrespectful and disgusting behavior by the company.
The 3,000 Unifor Local 1285 members finding out yesterday afternoon through robocall, the same time as union management.
It's very concerning. We're worried about our plant, but at the end of the day, the company's committed in writing at bargaining to this plant.
Since 2024, the Brampton plant was retooling for the new Jeep SUV. That was put on pause after U.S. President Donald Trump took office. Today, workers we spoke to were too nervous to comment. A restaurant called That Italian Place, located across the street from the Brampton plant, has no shortage of opinions.
The government bailed out all the auto workers section, like, was it 10 years ago? And now they're taking and going because Trump, well, someone's got to stand up to this guy. And it's all three of our governments have failed.
Never mind the direct jobs, there's lots of indirect jobs. This cafeteria, for example, this restaurant, it'll have an impact here. Right?
And the owner says business has slowed this past year.
It's devastating for the area. It's devastating for all the business around the area.
And experts say the knock-on effect will be felt throughout the Canadian auto industry.
There's also hundreds of millions of dollars of investment in parts manufacture that supply that plant.
Now production is moving to a plant in Belvedere, Illinois, whose mayor is celebrating the job growth.
This project has been a long time coming. I've always been hopeful that we would have good news, and this is actually great news.
Job growth coming at the cost of the Brampton facility.
It's going to hurt. It's going to sting. So when we, express concerns about these Trump tariffs, it's real families that are affected.
Unifor National President Lana Payne saying today, this is a clear casualty in Donald Trump's trade war.
And Donald Trump has been very clear from the beginning that he was coming for our auto jobs.
A 90-year-old Ottawa woman has been gifted a custom diamond ring months after hers was stolen in a distraction theft. CTV News reported on Terry Thompson's stolen ring back in August. The jewelry was a gift from her late husband and was taken from her while she was sitting outside her retirement home. After learning of the theft, a local jeweler decided to do something special for her. Today, they gifted her a copycat ring featuring an aquamarine stone and synthetic diamonds in 14-karat gold. It even has the same engraving as the original.
Beautiful people. It's nice to see that there's still some people like that around, because life is so short.
This was our opportunity of just doing something special for her, replacing this piece that was so important to her. But it's we understand the value.
The gift is valued around $6,000. A grieving Vancouver Island mother is calling for change after her son died from an allergic reaction. And
that's our ultimate goal, is to release her.
A baby beaver rescued from a Vancouver Island river makes a great comeback. The special requirement for her home. That's ahead.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Vancouver, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
A Vancouver Island mother's pain could be a final push towards changes. Her son was lost to a fatal allergic reaction in September, and now she wants greater public access to EpiPens. CTV's Andy Garland has more.
Malachi Flores' mom, Jerica, says her son loved the great outdoors.
He was hiking, he was fishing, he was always on adventures.
Tragedy struck the 14-year-old from Port Hardy a couple weeks ago while he was in Comox for hockey. After the game, he went with his uncle and mom to grab a quick bite to eat.
And that's where he grabbed like what he had thought was just like, it looked like a little cookie dough ball.
Malachi, who has a severe food allergy to nuts and always reads the labels, took a bite of the cookie dough ball, thinking it was nut-free, but it wasn't.
It had like in smaller writing the ingredients, and the first ingredient was cashews.
The teen went into anaphylaxis shortly after. Malachi accidentally didn't have the life-saving EpiPen on him, and they rushed him to meet an ambulance on their way to a hospital.
He didn't make it to the hospital.
Jerica says the tragic incident unfolded in 15 minutes, and neither the food establishment nor the first responders had an EpiPen on hand, and she wants to change that.
For everywhere that serves food to have an EpiPen.
She started an online petition called Malachi's Bill, asking government to change policy and ensure widespread access to EpiPens during emergencies.
It's the first line treatment, and when used promptly, what it does is it halts the reaction.
Food Allergy Canada, a national organization that supports the more than 3 million Canadians living with food allergies, says this tragedy highlights the need for better access to EpiPens in case of an emergency.
I do think it is time to take a hold and get serious about putting what is life-saving medication in the locations where this risk exists.
We reached out to the Ministry of Health yesterday and did not hear back by our deadline.
I just hope to save like another child's life or another adult's life. And that's like all I can do is live in honor of my son.
The petition for Malachi's Bill has surpassed 7,500 signatures already. Andy Garland, CTV News.
A baby beaver is in the midst of the comeback story of a lifetime. This is Timber. The North Island Wildlife Recovery Center introduced us to her last month after she was rescued from the Cowichan River. The working theory is low water levels forced her out of her mother's dam. Since her rescue, Timber's been busy packing on the pounds and has landed some sweet new digs, which she's checking out here.
That's our ultimate goal, is to release her. And so this new enclosure, when she's ready to be moved in there and doesn't need to be supervised, that's when we will start backing off as far as our contact with her, because we don't want her to become habituated.
Timber needs to spend at least another 10 months at the recovery center before she goes back to her old stomping grounds. Aww. And she's so cute. And do you notice her enclosure not made out of wood?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd chew her way right
exactly.
out of that.
She would have a full escape if it was made out of wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, she'll be back home soon enough. Absolutely adorable. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. Another beautiful day today. We had blue skies and sunshine. It'll all change as we head into tomorrow. We do have a low offshore bringing in some wet weather for the north coast, central coast, Haida slowly sliding its way down to the northern tip of Vancouver Island and the west coast as well. So here's a look at our storm tracker through late this evening, overnight. It will be a wet one for the north coast and central coast, Haida, as you can see here, for tomorrow morning for your early morning commute, and then it slides down towards north and west Vancouver Island, keeping us dry, but we will see overcast conditions. So here's how everything will play out for us on the south coast through the overnight. For your early morning commute, you'll start off nice and bright, but the clouds roll in pretty quick. Overcast conditions as we head into late tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening for your afternoon commute. Lots of sunshine still for tomorrow for the southern interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. Periods of rain, as mentioned earlier, for Port Hardy with a high of 9 degrees. It'll stay dry for Campbell River and Comox. Overcast skies with a few breaks and a high of 11. Soggy for the west coast as well for Tofino, 11 degrees. Cloudy skies for Port Alberni. Other than that, from Nanaimo right down to Victoria, you're looking at a mix of sun and cloud with temperatures between 13 and 14 degrees. Sunny breaks for the Sunshine Coast with a high of 11. Brighter up the Sea to Sky Highway, 13 for Whistler, 15 for Squamish, and for us across the lower mainland. Mostly cloudy skies with temperatures between 12 degrees near the water, 15 degrees further inland. Clearing up on Friday, get outside and enjoy it because the rain returns on Saturday. Cooling down to 11 degrees with a few showers to start off the day on Sunday. Mostly cloudy skies on Monday, and then we'll see showers and rain for Tuesday and Wednesday with temperatures between 12 and 14 degrees. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So a dry end to the work week before the rain for the weekend.
And it has been very chilly in the morning, but it looks like it might warm up a little bit in the morning.
A little bit.
I'm still not wearing gloves, though.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Refuse
Resist.
to. Yes. No jackets either.
I'm gonna just T-shirts and shorts.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Ann. Well, a glimmer of hope for the real estate industry as prices continue to fall. Also ahead.
I was very stressed out because I'm on disability.
A BC woman speaks out about the fees her bank hit her with. The rules are changing to protect those who are struggling, but they're still lagging behind U.S. banks. We'll explain. Look at today's markets. The Canadian dollar traded for 71 cents to the American dollar. Oil lost 43 cents, closing the day at $57.84 U.S. Gold gained more than $38 on the day. The TSX ended the day higher, up 283 points. The Dow Jones ended the day lower, down 17 points. More people seem to be buying homes across Metro Vancouver as prices continue their free fall. That's according to a new report from Royal LePage. It says more inventory along with declining home prices and borrowing rates is adding to the surge. In Greater Vancouver, the average home price decreased just over 3% year over year and is down just below 2% from last quarter. The BC Real Estate Association says sales were up 4.4% in September compared to last year. If you pay a bill and there's not enough money in your account to cover a transaction, you could get hit with a non-sufficient funds charge known as an NSF fee. The fees have been a major cause of frustration for some because even if your account is $1 short, you could have to pay a $48 penalty. Here's CTV's Pat Foran with one Surrey woman's story.
I think that I'm not the only one that's dealing with this.
Elvira Townsend of Surrey, BC says she always tries to pay her bills on time, but recently her bank balance dropped to minus $9. She was immediately charged an NSF fee of $48, putting her account $57 in arrears.
I was very stressed out because I'm on disability and right now money is very tight.
Townsend says she applied for overdraft protection in the past, but her bank denied her because she had a lower credit score.
I know there's a lot of people struggling. I'm struggling, and that $48 is a lot.
Currently, Canada's major banks charge $45 to $48 per NSF transaction. The charges have helped banks profit billions of dollars since they were first implemented.
These fees tend to hit the people who can least afford them.
Changes to the fees will happen March 12th of next year. There will be a $10 cap on NSF fees. Banks can't charge more than one NSF fee within 72 hours. There can be no NSF fee if an account is short by less than $10, and banks must alert customers and give them time to deposit funds before charging an NSF fee. The Credit Counseling Society says 34% of Canadians are charged with at least one NSF fee fee each year.
We're talking about over $600 million worth of money staying in people's pockets, so it's pretty huge.
This is something positive.
Acorn Canada, a group that advocates for low and moderate income people, has been fighting for the reforms. Well, it says lowering the fees from $48 to $10 is a good start. It says Canadian banks should follow the lead of American banks. Many have scrapped NSF fees altogether.
We should be taken off completely, like they did in USA. And the banks are still going. The banks are still making profit.
Townsend is hopeful more changes can be made to help her and others be eligible for overdraft protection.
A South African photographer earned top honors in his field after capturing an eerie photo of an animal so rare it took him 10 years to snap a pic of one. Take a look at this haunting image of a brown hyena standing in front of an abandoned building in a former diamond mining town in Namibia. The prize-winning pic beat out more than 60,000 entries to claim the 2025 Wildlife Photographer of the Year award. Other amazing photos featured include this longhorn beetle in central Italy posing in front of an abandoned logging machine, and this picture of an orphaned giant anteater trailing its caregiver at a rehab center. Still to come tonight, the Canucks look to find their footing on a big 5-game road trip. The weekly Rinkside Report is next, plus Lance's story. Adam finds out what happened after a man in the Cowichan Valley was faced with a life and death decision. Next on the Sawatsky Sign Off. Right now, here's a preview of your Morning Vancouver.
Well, how can we best protect children from cyber threats online? Wednesday on Your Morning Vancouver, the risk kids are facing and how new technology is used to trick them. Also, some of the most common misconceptions women have as we continue the conversation around World Menopause Month.
Oh my God, what is that?
And 'tis the spooky season. We're bringing in ghost hunters to explore what's lurking right here in our studios. We'll see you in the morning.
Rinkside Report, brought to you by
CapitalDirect.ca. Let's make your vision a reality with Capital Direct.
After a strong start in last week's season opener, the Vancouver Canucks followed that up with a pair of uninspiring performances. Now they're looking to find their footing on the road as they prepare to play 5 games in 8 days, all the way from home. Here's CTV's Ben Nesbitt with this week's Rinkside Report.
Walker joining the rush. Texier to Walker, and he scores!
Coming off a disappointing season, the Canucks are hoping for a strong start to begin this campaign. But after getting outscored 8-2 in their last 2 games, the stakes have been raised for their upcoming road trip.
You certainly can't win a playoff spot over these next 5 games, but you can see one slip away if you have a very poor road trip.
Vancouver will be without their first-round pick centerman, Braden Coots, who will be heading back to junior for the rest of the season, opening up a spot at a position the team already lacked depth in, putting more pressure on Elias Pettersson, who's recorded just 1 point and 3 shots on goal so far.
If he continues to be quiet, I think you get closer and closer to a day where Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin have to make a trade for a center iceman and have to grossly overpay to get that center iceman.
I want 3 shots a game or even more, but maybe that's a reflection that we got to create a little more. I got to be better.
One of the bright spots for the Canucks has been the play of goalie Thatcher Demko, who's looked more like the guy who almost won the Vezina Trophy 2 years ago after battling injuries last year.
His performance in those first couple of games, particularly the game in Edmonton, where he was all-world and gave them a chance to win the game in the third period when really they had no business being in that hockey game.
The Canucks will be in Dallas Thursday night to face the Stars before heading to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks on Friday. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
Okay, well, it is time for Homeward Bound, as you saw with that graphic, a weekly segment where we introduce you to furry friends from local rescues who are looking for their forever home.
And here are 3 from the BCSBCA who are ready to meet their match.
Well, meet Lola Bunny. This 3.5-year-old Pity Mountain Cur mix is described as strong, smart, and seriously snuggly. She loves physical activity and knows her commands, but she still needs some leash training. If you're driven, active, and strong, Lola might just be your perfect match. You can meet her today at the BC SPCA Vancouver branch. She looks very muscular, doesn't
very
she?
strong indeed. Well, meet Piper. This wee pup with one blue eye and one brown is currently being fostered, but looking for her forever home. The BC SPCA says she'd do best as the only dog in an adult only or older kid home. Piper has a health condition which requires her to be on a hypoallergenic diet and omega supplements. If you're ready for a loyal, low-key companion, contact the SPCA's Vancouver branch.
And finally, meet Toby. This 5-year-old fluff ball is described as a cuddly, quirky, and full of personality, but he likes affection on his own terms. Toby's not a fan of being picked up and would prefer a calm, child-free home. He's on a very special urinary care diet to manage a health condition, but it's easy to maintain. Toby's available to adopt at the SPCA Richmond branch.
See, we have very specific summaries of all these animals, so you know what you're getting into, right? Okay, for more information, head to adopt.spca.bc.ca. Okay, we're going to get to the Sawatsky sign-off. First, Craig has a look ahead to your late news.
Yeah, that's right, me, Jung. So pickleball players in the city are demanding government action. Nearly 1,500 people have signed a petition to improve and expand pickleball facilities in the city as demand continues to grow. We'll have all of those details tonight. Also, our Dimitra Maragos is in Vancouver's West End tonight, hearing from concerned locals about a proposed rezoning that could potentially open the door for a hotel in their neighborhood. And aside from that, the Blue Jays are down the I-5, taking on the Mariners in Game 3 of the ALCS. CTV News is there, and we'll have reaction from the game. We'll have all of this and more tonight at 11:30. Hey, John.
And there are some Blue Jays fans down there,
That's
right?
what I'm hearing, yes.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Well, it took hitting rock bottom for one man from Duncan to pull himself out of the throes of addiction. Now, 6 years sober, his generosity and gratitude has made quite a mark in his community. Here's Adam with tonight's Sawatsky sign-off.
Lance DeBray will never forget being a teenager and having his first drink of alcohol.
And I was like, whoa, where have you been my whole life? And so from then on, that's all I wanted.
And it was fun at first, Lance says, until it wasn't, until it led to doing drugs, losing access to his children, and living on the street for more than 3.5 years.
Couldn't see a way out of it. And what am I going to be sober? What am I going to do sober? We're like, how do I stop?
But then, after decades of addiction, his heart stopped, and Lance woke up in a hospital room that turned out to be his rock bottom.
Either I change or I die.
Lance chose life, completed months of rehab, and connected with a local business owner, Will Arnold, who had shown him kindness on the street.
I saw that look in Lance's face where he was more focused on his well-being, which was really, heartwarming.
Lance was determined to give back to those he'd burdened and began volunteering with a group that Will had helped start, picking up garbage left by members of the street community.
Day after day you wake up and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Well, Lance worked so hard and demonstrated such a strength of character that Will says he and his fellow entrepreneurs agreed to pay him to clean up every day, which led to the local butcher, Graham Blackstock, offering Lance a full-time job.
He's solid. He's an asset to himself, to our community, and to the shop. I'd take him any day as a wingman.
Like Will considers him every day a friend, and couldn't be more proud that Lance has been sober and drug-free for more than 6 years.
And he says, I never realized how beautiful life was. And those words moved me.
Well, Lance couldn't be more grateful for the opportunities he's been given and the friendships he's made. He says the greatest gift in the new life he's chosen is returning home at the end of the day to see and support his children.
The best high in the world is I love you from my kids. That's what keeps me going.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Duncan.
What an amazing recovery story. Very difficult to recover from addiction, and he's been able to stay sober for 6 years.
Incredible. What an inspiration. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. Look at this beauty, a double rainbow in Ardrossan, Alberta. Thanks, Cheryl, for sending this gorgeous photo in, and we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca, and please remember to put where you took the picture, because sometimes it's just a beautiful picture, and I don't know where it's from.
I don't know where Ardrossan, though.
I know.
No.
Me neither. I had to look it up. It's in Alberta.
Okay, but a big thank you to all our out-of-province viewers, and I hope Cheryl was watching tonight.
I hope she was too.
All right, thanks for joining us. Craig's back at 11:30. Good night.